Good day. I love my life and I'm immensely grateful for yet another opportunity to be talking to you today. It's week 11 of 2018 and I hope you have been making progress in your spheres of lives, leveraging these themes for the week that come to you. This week's theme, in keeping with the theme for the month, if you remember, the theme for the month was health. And last week we looked at physical health. This week, let's focus on emotional and mental health. It's very easy for us to focus on the physical aspect of well-being and health. Very often we overlook the importance of mental and emotional health. We are running the 9-to-5 race, most of us are, and in the preoccupation of the day, there's very little time proactively that we take to look at, are we mentally fit? Are we emotionally fit? Now, what's the difference between the two? One, obviously the mental health aspect is about your cognitive abilities and your reasoning abilities. But cognitive and reasoning abilities have a direct impact to your emotional well-being. And you like it or not, the aspect when we say we have a gut feeling, that's a part of the brain as well. Okay? So you have three different brains. You obviously have the brain that sits in your head, you have your cerebrum, cerebellum, and your medulla oblongata that comprise of the brain that do different functions to run the machine called human body. But then you have something called as the gut, which sits just under your stomach. And then you have your heart has its own brain. And your heart is the one that's sending far more signals to your brain than the other way around. So the heart has its own electromagnetic field around it, and the heart is communicating non-stop. Okay? So if you are the kind of person who is more logical and relies heavily on logical thinking and reasoning rather than tapping into your intuitive abilities and your emotional abilities, you're losing out. Okay? Most of us are brought up to think our brain is the king. Your heart, my friend, is the king. When you can live your life through your heart, there's no dream that is inachievable. Your heart is responsible not just for pumping of blood, but being able to guide your brain through intuition, through the ability to tap into gut, through your ability to create the right chemical reactions through emotional well-being in your body. Physical pain, when I hit myself, that's physical pain. But my ability to continue to feel that pain and keep draining myself, that which we call suffering, human suffering, is emotional. Okay? And it's a choice. That's the most important bit. So most people turn around and say, oh, I'm heartbroken, he hurt me really bad, he did this, he did that, she did that, she did this. Obviously, nobody's pointing a finger at yourselves and nobody's looking at what did I do to make that happen. Nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the problem is out there, right? So your ability to respond, you're giving up control, that's one. And two, pain is a physical response, but suffering is an emotional response. And each human being has the choice to choose whether they want to suffer or they do not want to suffer. And your emotional well-being and your mental well-being comes into play to help you understand how long you want to suffer. You have a heartbreak, someone says something really nasty, and this someone is someone you really look up to and care for and are emotionally connected with, and they completely thrash you. Okay, they completely tear you down. It does pull you down. But let's say you're walking, you've gone out for a long walk, and someone in the park just comes up to you at random and says something nasty to you. You won't really care about it, would you, Nick? Your emotional well-being helps you understand which situation you want to give weightage to and which situation is important. But most importantly, if you allow your emotions to take control of you, the you that you are, you're going to lose out every time. You need to be in control of your emotions. You need to be able to gauge which emotion is bringing you closer to the goal that you've set for yourself. Okay? You really need to be proactive. And for this is where in the corporate sphere you'll hear a lot of people talking about being self-aware. Leaders need to be self-aware. This is exactly what they're talking about. When your emotions get the better of you, judgment, your decision-making capabilities are impaired. Now, how do you go about taking control of your emotional sphere? How do you go about taking control of your mental well-being? Mental well-being, you can do a lot of exercises, mental exercises, solve puzzles, solve riddles, is a simple one. But there are others through yoga, through pranayam, through meditation. You can make certain that your memory is and your cognitive functions are polished. As for your emotional well-being, it's about being aware. It's about cultivating that awareness through meditation. That's one route, okay? There are other ways you can read. Reading about emotional well-being will empower you. The more you're aware, the more you have knowledge, the more you can act on that knowledge. And knowledge is not power. The action on your knowledge is what brings you power, is what gives you, is what enables you. What are your action items then this week? This week you want to take a step back, understand where am I in my emotional sphere. So whether it is with your intimate, your significant other, whether it's with your parents and your siblings, or your friend circle, or in the community, the interactions that you're having day on, in and out, are these interactions heavily emotional? Do you respond to them with positive emotions? Do you respond to them with negative emotions? Do you allow the other person's negative emotions to impact you? You need to be able to take a step back and say, are these interactions positive or negative for me? Okay? And this is not a judgment on the other person, neither is it a judgment on yourself. All that you're doing is taking a third person's view. You're standing away from that person, from that interaction, gauging the interaction. Okay? So you're taking a third person stand and gauging that interaction. And what you really need to be able to do is, if your interactions are not positively impacting you, turn them around. What is it that you can do to turn them around? Can I sit down with this person and have a conversation with this person in a way that it empowers the other person and myself? Does this person need to go from my life, like completely distance this person from my life? That is also an option, and be aware of that option. It really doesn't matter even if they're your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your relatives, your whoever this person is, right? Generally, it's the people who are closest to you who are draining you emotionally, okay? Be aware of those interactions. And you don't have to be nasty to them. Once you've picked up that this is not working, you need to gauge whether you can sit down and have a conversation that will help them and help you. If it's not helping either people, put that distance between yourselves and respect that distance and honor this person and love this person. Be grateful for this person because they have actually assisted you to grow to the next level. Okay? And be kind to this person. Most importantly, be kind to this person. It's not that this person is not a nice person or does not care for you, but it's just that this equation right now is not playing out. Okay? It's all in the present. So you need to keep doing this exercise recurring throughout your life. It's not for a day, it's not for a year, it's not for 10 years. It's something that you will need to keep doing recurring, ongoing, so that you can benefit as a human being and be able to live out your true potential. The other things that you can do, physiology, change in physiology. So last week we looked at exercises. The moment you exercise, your chemical reaction within the body has shifted towards the positive. And that positive change in internal chemistry empowers your emotional center with positivity. So it's almost like it's a reverse engineered mechanism to influence your emotional center. Okay, so that is always, and that's the most easiest, most powerful way of doing it. Okay, then the third way is about reading. When you read poets like Rumi, for instance, they enrich your soul. Try picking up, if you've never read Rumi, pick up a poem of his. For that matter, any poetry, any prose, even Shakespeare. There are extracts from Shakespeare that actually have that healing effect on your heart. Okay, and when we discuss spirituality next week, we'll look at other options in terms of what else you can read to empower your emotional center. But the prime action items for you: one, gauge those interactions with people in your sphere, in each of the spheres. Two, your own personal internal dialogue. And this, my friend, is really important. Your internal dialogue that you're having with yourself. Are you being overly critical? Is that sapping your emotional center and shifting you from positive to negative? And it happens in a heartbeat. And most of us are unaware through the day how we are impacting ourselves. So being conscious, being aware, taking a step back, and in yoga, through meditation, there are techniques. If you know the DRT technique, for instance, it'll help you come out of your body and examine yourself as a third person. Okay? So there are very simple techniques, very easy to do, which you can do it on your own. Obviously, you need to learn in the presence of a teacher, but there are techniques that you can tap into. And then, of course, third, add to your reading list. Every day, read something that will nourish your emotional center. If nothing else, Google the word love, heart, and read quotes on it. That's all that it takes. And there are some awesome quotes, and start your day with it. In the first 2 hours of your day, read something that will empower your emotional center. And with that, I will wrap up this week's theme for the week. Have a great day ahead. Have a relaxing Sunday. Have a fun-filled, productive, meaningful week ahead. Take very good care of yourself, and I will see you next Sunday. Have an outstanding week. God bless.